I think Brazilian regulation is catching up to other countries. I mean, at the talk we were at today, a lot of mention was to FATCA and CRS. I think Brazil is going through a moment now with the amnesty, which is pushing it to the same level as other jurisdictions.
I'll talk now to Benjamin Reid, who works for the offshore industry for Maitland. Where most of your clients is based?
So I'm located personally in the Miami office. It's one of our 16 offices in 12 jurisdictions. Our client base is really split between Miami and here in Brazil. I would say in Brazil it's 80% São Paulo, 20% Rio. And that client is, we split it between two different clients. One is the institutional, which are hedge fund managers, so managers in Brazil who are looking to either have a structure offshore or bring in money, have a structure offshore which gets money out of Brazil to invest into dollar-based assets or capture foreign investment into Brazil. The other type of client we have is private individuals, so pessoas físicas in Portuguese, who are looking to structure something outside of Brazil, which we set up in one of our many jurisdictions, so Cayman, BVI, Bahamas, or Luxembourg.
And what your Brazilian clients demand for offshore service?
So the main services we offer is we can do legal services, but the core service that Maitland offers is fund administration and corporate administration. So what is that? It's basically assisting clients with setting up an offshore company, an offshore trust or a fund, for which we then provide the ongoing services. So that for a hedge fund is administration, for a company it's accounting and FATCA services. It depends on the type of client, but we offer a huge array, and then it always all depends on where the client is and what the services they offer. So for Brazil, it's really companies, company administration, company accounting. For funds, it's fund administration, and then FATCA and CRS services.
Is it due to Brazilian regulation and bureaucracy?
So there's two things. For the individuals, a lot of the structures that we set up are based on a tax-driven reason. So they're trying to make their structures more tax efficient, and therefore they are converting structures from what is the typical private investment company into an investment fund or even a trust. For investment managers, so the managers of wealth here in Brazil, it's more to find a vehicle which either allows them into other markets or allows them to get clients from the US, for example. So at the moment we're dealing with a very big Brazilian manager who is setting up a Cayman vehicle, and that's allowing him to market to American pension funds, endowments, etc., etc. So those are the sort of the reasons. It always has to do with some regulatory. There's always something regulatory tax-driven around structuring, but typically it depends on whether it's an individual or a hedge fund manager as to why the reason is for that structure.
And which are the sectors?
The sectors that we deal with, it's mainly it's financial, so it's hedge fund managers who are doing equities, multi-mercado as they call it here, and private equity. For the individuals, it's very rare. It's very wide. The sectors they invest in, it's very, very wide. I mean, it can be private equity, it can be real estate, equities, bonds. It really depends.
Concerning this Brazilian demand, how would you compare Brazilian regulation to other countries?
Very good question. I think Brazilian regulation is catching up to other countries. I mean, at the talk we were at today, a lot of mention was to FATCA and CRS. I think Brazil is going through a moment now with the amnesty, which is pushing it to the same level as other jurisdictions. I think I'm not a lawyer, so I can't talk to you about fund regulation, but I think for the individuals, Brazil is becoming what is seen as a more regulated country, whereas if you compare it to Chile, Colombia, Mexico, they are a little bit ahead, but Brazil will probably reach that level in the next year, given the changes that are happening domestically here in Brazil.
And tell us about your work in Miami.
So the work in Miami, the Maitland office in Miami is very much client focused. We're there to attend our clients. There's myself and there's two other Brazilian lawyers who work with me, Pedro Olmo and Camila Sariva. Their job is really to take care of the clients on a day-to-day basis. My job is to go out and find new business. And again, Miami for us is really the gateway into Latin America. So we have the Miami office so we can travel to Brazil, so we can go to Mexico, so we can reach clients in Colombia. And then there's obviously the demand in Miami now, which is very much growing. Brazil is I would say the most increasing population of Latinos. You have Mexicans, obviously. There's a lot of Venezuelans, a lot of Colombians, but what we're seeing over the last 6 months is a lot more Brazilians actually moving from Brazil to have a house, their business in Miami.
Nowadays, how market all around the world is dealing with FATCA?
So the FATCA changes, it's FATCA and CRS. So FATCA came first, and now you have the CRS Common Reporting Standards being brought in as a next step to FATCA. I think what it's doing, or what FATCA is doing to the market, is it's just making there's global exchange of information. So if a Brazilian 5 years ago had an account in Switzerland, that information is now flowing or will flow back to the central bank and the Receita Federal here in Brazil because of FATCA. So what FATCA is doing and what CRS is doing for the world is it's actually making it very difficult for non-tax compliant people, or it's making it impossible to be non-tax compliant, which is the reason you're having things like the amnesty in Brazil or the repatriação. Why that is coming about? Because of the CRS outside of Brazil, the countries want to share information with Brazil, and they won't do it unless everything is declared, which is why you're seeing all this movement and all this money coming back into the market.
Benjamin, thank you so much for this interview. Obrigada.
Obrigado, Will.
Luciane Miranda to Dukascopy TV.